So most people think of the search for UFOs and the search for God as two different paths. One is nuts and bolts, radars, titanium, and government cover-ups. The other is ethereal, meditation, vibration, and the soul. I spent years trying to keep them in separate boxes, but then the boxes broke. I realized that if you follow the trail of non-human intelligence far enough, you eventually hit a wall that logic cannot scale. You find yourself staring into the eyes of the infinite, and conversely, if you deep dive enough into the mechanics of the soul, you find the fingerprints of a physical history that has been hidden from us for millennia. Today, I want to share my journey through this cosmic feedback loop, how searching for them led me to me, and how finding me finally explained who they really are. It started with the craft. I wanted to know how they flew. I wanted to know how the Collins elite and the deep state seemed so paralyzed by this topic. But the more I looked at the data, the more I realized that NHI doesn't just navigate space, they navigate through consciousness. This led me to the channelers. At first, the ego resists. We've been trained to think that it's woo-woo. But then I encountered the material from Bashar and the perspectives shared in the secret universe. They weren't talking about little green men. They were talking about frequency. They were talking about the self as a sovereign creator. They were teaching us that the reason we haven't had open contact isn't because the government won't let us. It's because our collective vibration hasn't yet matched the reality we claim to want. I stopped looking for a savior in a saucer. I realized that the UFO was a mirror. To understand the pilot, I had to understand the soul. But here's where the loop closes. Once I accepted the spiritual reality that we are sleeping gods or multidimensional beings, I couldn't look at religious texts the same anymore. If consciousness is the bedrock of the universe, then who were the gods of our ancestors? I went back to the source. I looked at Sitchin's work on the Anunnaki. I revisited Von Daniken, and I read the Atrahasis and the biblical texts with new eyes. And when you read the Atrahasis or the Enuma Elish after studying spirituality, you don't see mythology. You see a technical manual of a genetic intervention. You see the story of a non-human intelligence interacting with a developing consciousness. We weren't just created by a distant angry god. We were engineered with a specific spark, a spark that the current control systems are desperately trying to keep dim. So why does this matter to you? Because the opponent who wishes to keep this information under wraps, they're not evil masterminds. They are obsolete. They are scared. They are like a 1920s radio trying to block a 5G signal. They just can't do it. The reason they fear the UFO NHI connection to spirituality is that it grants you sovereignty. If you realize that your DNA contains the legacy of the Anunnaki and the spark of the infinite creator, you become unmanageable. You stop throwing rocks at the system because you realize the system is just a temporary shadow. We aren't here to fight the old world. We are here to turn up the volume of our own vibration until the old structures simply shatter from the frequency. My search for UFOs led me to the soul. My search for the soul led me to our true history. It's a circle, and you are at the middle of it. You are not a victim of a cover-up. You are a sovereign participant in a cosmic awakening. The others, they're not coming to save us. They're waiting for us to remember what we've been all along. And if this journey resonates with you, if you felt that pull between the stars and the spirit, stay tuned, because we're just getting started. Remember, don't look up for the answer. Look through. If you enjoyed watching this, want to explore any more reality co-creation or consciousness ascension, just hit me up, KnowGoodilus.com.